Hi, this is Nikki Seward, and this is part 2 of this water flow series looking at how much water flows through the Sacramento River, through the Delta, and how much will be exported. And this section will show the inconsistencies of the last 8 to 10 years and how water flow has been calculated and has been being reported and what's going to be the effect of that inconsistency. So we answered in the last set, X is either between 17 million acre feet and 21 million acre feet. So now let's look at Y. And Y is the sum total of the current and planned delta diversions from the Sacramento River before Rio Vista. So X up here, diverted, go along down here, because we want to know what's left at the Rio Vista bridge to then go out into the San Francisco Bay. And so we're going to look at Y, and then so we can find the answer to Z. So I'm going to go to the next one. And so if you think the first one question was a little bit hard because we don't know the, is it between 17 million, 21 million? This one's going to be even harder because of the calculations you're going to have to do. So how much fresh water continues to flow on the Sacramento River out of the Delta into this is Soon Marsh and San Francisco Bay in an average water year? That's what we're going to answer. So we have between 17 million acre feet and 21 million acre feet, and we're going to start looking at Y, which is the different projects that export water. And you need to know that there has been standard exports for a long time, a certain way the water flowed. And now, over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of different projects. And you can go at, this is usbr.gov website, and it talks about the different projects that are happening now. They're being planned. They went through EIR process over the last 10 years as regional projects, and they're being built now or have been built and maybe not necessarily turned on or functioning yet. Okay, so the school, if you want to pull out your, you've got your water classes, we might start utilizing those as we start diverting the water. You want to dump each one of those glasses represents 1 million acre feet, and you will be putting it into your bigger vat. You don't want to waste the water. You can use it for recycling, but so start doing it. So Freeport pumps. This is a waterfronts and pumps and fish screen that was built. That's south of Sacramento along the Sacramento River. It's already built, and it has a capability of exporting more than 185 million gallons a day. So go ahead and dump out 185 million gallons, but what does that represent? That doesn't relate to 1,000 acre feet. That doesn't relate to million acre feet or cubic feet per second. So we've got to figure out how much is 1 million gallons per day. Well, what you'll find out is each of these different regional projects has used different water flow and water volume numbers. So when you tried to compare, you were doing apples and oranges. So you had to use a conversion table to figure out to come out with Y. So let's go on. Let's go to that conversion table. And like I said, you'll notice over the last 100 years, if you look at documents, there was a consistency of use. 1,000 acre feet and cubic feet per second was what was used. So acre feet actually talks about the quantity of water, and there's so much water that using gallons was just way too big a number, so they were using acre feet, 1,000 acre feet. And for velocity, or how fast the water was flowing, they were looked at cubic feet per second. That is a volume, but it's the flowing going past a very specific area. And here's a 1923 report. You can see that online from Department of Water Resources of California. It talks about water flow on each river. They've been monitoring this for a long, long time. you can look at freshwater flows into the San Francisco estuary. There's reports. This is in acre feet, as you can see. That's the volume water that went into estuary, and you can see a variety based on if it was a wet year, dry year. If you look at more recent documents, you'll see this huge decline, and we're going to see why. But you'll see acre feet and cubic feet per second has been consistently used for many years, and only in the last 10 years do we see the shift to these other gallons per day and all that stuff. So in order to answer the question why and add up all those different projects that are happening right now to see how much is going to be diverted, we had to look at conversion charts. Well, what was really strange about that is I found out that if you look at the conversion chart for Department of Water Resources, and this is from the annual report of 2001 and CalSim and all that, and the baseline for CalSim was developed during this time, and CalSim and CalSim 2 were used to determine water flows now in 2012. In these reports, we'll see that Department of Water Resources uses a different number for gallon per day. So you can see that's 646,320 gallons per day is for 1 cubic foot. But USGS, you can find conversion tables online, and it has a different number. It's actually a little bit less number, approximately 48 gallons per day difference. Well, so right there, the state conversion table inflates the numbers, and that seems like a minimal amount, but when you count how many cubic feet per second is flowing on the Sacramento River, that difference of 48 gallons, when you take 48 gallons times the millions of cubic feet per second, it becomes a very large number. It becomes very huge, and it represents at least a million acre feet a year conflict, which might be the reason why we see that baseline of 17 million versus 18 million acre feet. It could come just from that one right there if you went through all the calculations, or close to it anyway. So and then we thought, well, wait a minute, let's see what these conversion tables, and you can look at the different places we got these conversion tables. I went to other states, their water resources groups, and we see that when converting from cubic feet per second to acre feet per day, there is a little bit more consistency, just more numbers. If somebody wants to get a little bit more detailed, you can round it off, but at least on that number there is a little bit more consistency. So here we go. We get to we want to take 17 million acre feet minus all these projects that are happening right now. This is not that the other peripheral canal or conveyance canal they're talking about, maybe they're going to do a tunnel. These are the projects that have been happening over the last couple of years as regional projects that's going to convert water out of Sacramento River. And this is Sacramento River flow conversion diversions. So let's take, for example, the Freeport diversion. There are water pumps and fish screen at Freeport, which is below the Sacramento, on the Sacramento River. If you went up Highway 160, you could see it there. It's been built. It was completed in 2010. It was turned on to see if it operates. It's not running right now. No statement by the state of why they're not operating it. It was a conjunctive use project by East Bay Mud and Department of Water Resources. And so we've got to use that conversion table. And so I'm going to use the state conversion table. And we've got million gallons per day times use a conversion table. You'll see that comes to 250,000 acre feet per day. So 252 TAF. Okay, got that one. Davis Woodland is talking about doing a diversion out of the Sacramento River instead of using their wells because they're concerned about groundwater quality. They're going to divert extra water out of the Sacramento River, and they use tap, which is great. Let's go the North Bay Aqueduct. That's water for Napa and Vallejo and those areas. Those documents use cubic feet per second. Okay, so now we got to use the conversion table again, and let's. They're talking about 240 cubic feet per second of export up from the Sacramento River. Right now, it takes it out of Barker Slough. Is over in the Yellow Bypass, since they're concerned about the quality of water in Yellow Bypass for different reasons we'll go over later. They want to take it out of Sacramento River, and they're talking about changing where they're going to take the water out, and they'll take it out of the Sacramento River directly, and you have to use a conversion from cubic feet per second to gallons per day. And I use the state one, like calcium does, even though that's an inflated number. Then go from gallons per day to 1,000 acre feet. So we've got 476,000 acre feet, which is an increase on what they've been diverting. Then there's this thing called the Delta Cross Channel Gates that currently divert over 1 million acre feet per year, or 1,281,000 acre feet a year. And this program called Reoperation, they also call it a couple different names, through Delta Facility, those kind of things. What that does would increase the amount of flow that goes through the Delta Cross Channel Gates by diverting McColmy River, Sacramento River water, and all that. So this would result in almost 2 million additional acre feet exported from the Sacramento River water. And then we know that Georgiana Slough is already used as an export waterway. It sends the water down to the export pumps, and does almost 3 million of acre feet. There's this thing called the Through Delta Facility. That one has a couple different names, so I'm going to go over and look at people talk about they're going to divert the water. These things are being built now, so people should pay attention. This is not a tunnel that might be built down the road. This is a surface water conveyance plan that was originally called, it was originally called the CalFed Preferred Alternatives. It's been called other names like Through Delta Facility and Armored Aqueduct, and lately it is called the Separate Corridors option. And excuse me, look at this purple line right in here. It shows exports from the Delta Cross Channel, Georgiana Slough. There's a possibility of converting that the facility at Freeport that's up in here, and they call it conjunctive use, and it could dump more water in the Stone Lakes National Wildlife Refuge. Actually, that surge pump from the Freeport facility could dump extra water into the McColmy system in Stone Lakes, which then you've got the it's called McCormick Williamson Tract in here, all of which would dump more water along this area in Georgiana. And you see this purple one going down here. This part is all being built right now. So go take a look in the Delta. Go drive around. You can see the different siphons that are being built. Those are water siphons or fish screened facilities that have a bunch of pumps to export water, and we're going to talk about that more. But this is being built now. This isn't down the road. This is going on now. They were approved as regional projects. Some of them have not been turned on, so that might be part of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. The Delta Plan through the Delta Stewardship Council and the Bay Delta Conservation Plan are approved. Those things can be turned on, and all of those combined can take the 15,000 cubic feet per second out of the delta. We're going to go back to that again, and I'm talking about this, how much, let's assume this all adds up. When you add all this up, and we start with 15 million acre feet, and 17 million acre feet, and all this adds up to about 15 million acre feet that would be diverted. This is diversion from the Sacramento River alone. So go ahead, dump out more than 15 of those cups. Go ahead, go do it. And what do you see? You have only basically 2.5 cups of water left of Sacramento River water. And when there was had previously been 10 million acre feet flowing from below, from Rio Vista on into the San Francisco Bay, you're only going to have 2.5 million acre feet, 2.5 cups. That is a huge difference of what was and what is capable very, very soon. The second that plan is approved and they turn on all those different projects that are being built right now. I'm going to go on and I'm going to show you some of the projects after we get through this part. Okay, so what if we assume that, more recent flows say 21 million acre feet? Oh, you know what? I skipped something. You will notice here that I kind of faded out a little bit the yellow bypass flows, because when these averages of 17 million acre feet were done, it was not including yellow bypass flows, so I don't count those flows. And yellow bypass flows has on average been this amount, and it's very variable. Some years there's no flow on the yellow bypass, because if it's a drier water year, the weirs don't operate, and weirs are these gates that allow water to flow into that area. They want to revise it so that every year there would be at least 335 cubic feet per second of flow through the winter months. I've not seen a total flow, so I really can't answer that one right here exactly how much it would be. So I faded that out. I use everything else and found this is the correct number. When you take the actual projects being built now, that this will all be all the Sacramento River water that'll be left at the Rio Vista Bridge gauge. So then I looked at the 21 million acre feet, and here I did put in the yellow bypass, because that number includes the addition of the yellow bypass. But then they're also talking about doing additional water on the yellow bypass, but they're not clear exactly, all totaled every year, how much additional Sacramento River water would be dumped into the yellow bypass. And then the Department of Water Resources will say, well, that water will flow by the Rio Vista gauge. Well, that's true, but it bypasses the whole North Delta, and therefore greatly reduces the water flow on the North Delta, which will greatly degrade that prime farmland and prime aquatic environment as well. So when it comes down to it, either way they look at it, whether it's 17 million acre feet or 21 million acre feet, with the 21 million acre feet, we look at the diversion from the yellow bypass, it still comes to basically 2.5 million of acre feet at the Rio Vista Bridge. And then we will look at how the DWR says it'll be made up for at the outflow into the bay by the San Joaquin River. We'll look at the video on water quality in San Joaquin River to show why that just doesn't work. It will not answer the bay's water quality needs at all. So I'm going to go on a little bit. So we tried to answer X, and now why is this Delta conveyance plan? And you hear about a 15,000 cubic feet tunnel. I am going to go right back up here. So let's look at this. This comes up to about 15,000 square feet, and these are projects that are already built or being built now. So let's look at that again. I showed you how this is from BayDeltaConservationPlan.com. This is one of their maps. It combines all the different options they're talking about. And one of the options is the through delta facility. They call the separate quarters option, and this is the freshwater flow option. And the green is the fish flow, and that's because fish get caught in the pumps, and so they gather up in here and put the fish out into this river to get them to go back out into the bay. They call it fish salvage. How many fish actually survive that is really unknown, but that's the separate quarters option is being promoted as a environmentally friendly option. The CalFed Record of Decision of 2000 looks very much like that. The Through Delta facility focus right in this area looks very much like that. So I'm going to look at some of these. Okay, so another name for this same thing as the Delta corridors was and is called the Armored Aqueduct or Through Delta facility. And what it does is it has a intake fish screen, flows the water through what is the Stone Lakes area, Pearson District. More water intakes right in this area. They modify McCormick-Williamson Tract to allow for gathering of more water. Staten Island actually was purchased to be a water storage area when it's needed in high flow years, and they propose extra water down Georgiana and particularly down the McCollum River. If you go driving around the Delta, guess what? You're going to see construction projects going on in this area. You're going to see that this levee was built into a super wide super levee. So in case this area needs to be used for water storage, it will be contained in there and not mess up this. This is Highway 12. They don't want to flood 12, so it contains it. You will see Boudin Island has already started being a restoration island, so you'll see a lot of water in this area. Web track is proposed for water storage, and like a storage island, like a dam in the Delta. Bacon Islands proposed for a dam in the Delta, so if there's extra water flow during the winter months, they use it, and that's a water storage area. And you see it goes right along this area. There's already a new water pump and siphon built on Victoria Island. I'll show you a picture of that. And there's also these proposals for these different barriers. These are barriers that keep the freshwater flow going to the export pumps. Pumps come off of Clifton Court 4 Bay, and the capacity of all of this is 15,000 cubic feet. So you don't need a tunnel when you've got this one going. This is the first half of the dual conveyance, the central conveyance option. So let's take a look at what is already being built. This is at deltarevision.com, and actually if you go from the main page and click on the construction projects happening in the Delta right now. We've been driving around getting pictures, gathering the actual building documents. Note that the plan was the CalFed Record of Decision preferred alternative from 2000, and then they kind of changed names around, came up with regional projects and divided up into they called it the North Delta Improvement Project and the South Delta Improvement Project, and it's all this conveyance project just divided up into different groups. So I'm going to click on this map right now. This is where the levees were improved. This is part of this modification. Levee plan has already been done. Just drive out there. Go ahead. We have pictures. You can see it. There are proposals for this widening, dredging and all that. There has been improvements already along this waterway here. This is Georgiana, where levees were improved to be able to handle extra water. If you go to Staten Island, you'll see, there's no trees there anymore. There's still a few buildings. Staten Island is proposed to be, at least part of it, be water storage. There's a lot of standing water on Staten Island right now. This is March 2012. You see it. That could be for their rice farming that is being proposed for that area. So only in really wet years, that would be used for water storage. Let's see, we can look at one of the pictures. This is that super levee that I just talked to you about, and displays some of the river otter. See, that's 2 river otter. They're adorable little things, but they were displaced. That's some old water pipes that were pulled out. These river otter are running over. This is Boudin Island. They're gonna try and cross the road and get over to the waterway here and get across Highway 12 to get to the water. I see. I hope they make it. I don't know if they did. I didn't want to watch. So then here's another one. This was through the county of Sacramento. They submitted a lot adjustment for Dead Horse Island, and that will reduce the levee area, reduce the island, so that more water can flow through the Delta Cross Channel. And you can see, let's see if we can enlarge it, that is part of the computer modeling that went on that has to do with the CalFed project. And here you can see another detail one. Here's Dead Horse Island. Their levee gets set back. McCormick-Williamson track, the levee gets degraded, so when McCormick-Williamson track is flooded, it allows more water to flow down this way through the McCormick-Williamson track and into the McCollum River system. And that is a really important one to allow that extra water. This is Snodgrass Slough, which is part of the Stone Lakes area. And as those things are being done, it will allow for more of the water flow. Again, these are projects that are being built now. Here's another one being built right now. This is part of the Yolo bypass plans. They want to have more water go through the Yolo bypass. They needed to reinforce the levees. This work is being done right now. The idea is it'll be a better area for fish to swim and flow and breed, because the Sacramento River flows are going to be diverted, and that means the fish won't be able to flow up that way, which is their natural way. And by the way, this is Steamboat Slough right in here, and this is one of the main natural waterways. These 2 waterways in here is where the fish used to, the coho salmon. There's lots of old books talking about just how much salmon was on this part of the Sacramento River in the past, but due to the lowering of water flow, the salmon, it's not just about the smelt, it's salmon and other fish species that are declining. If you want to go over to this area, you can see, yes, these levees are being built. Here's another picture. They're being improved, and you can go see west side of Sacramento. There's work being done under this one. I'm sorry I didn't see. You can go to this website, and you have to run around. The beginning documents talk about the levee work being done up in West Sacramento, but you keep going through this 574 page document, and you'll find the stuff about what's going on down in the Delta. Here's another one, the levee improvement project. It's actually a bypass improvement project. You'll see they lined this canal. It is a bypass to send water into the Yolo bypass when there's enough water going, and this is a cement lining to facilitate water flow. Let's go through. Here's another one. This is one of the fish screen, the new fish screen and water export facilities. This is north of Sacramento in a place called Verona. That will divert additional water from the Sacramento River. And here's another link. This is the Folsom South Canal. People say that's just for flood control. The East Bay Mud is the one who is building it. Is this another one of those conjunctive use programs? Because when you look at the company that was building it, it's under progress construction now. It will also construct 2 plants that pump 100 million gallons per day out of Folsom. Folsom dumps water into the Sacramento River system. By using the Folsom South Canal, it will divert it the water, so another 100 million gallons a day, are going to be diverted away from the Sacramento River into the McCollum system before it ever gets to the Sacramento River. So that's another diversion, really, in reality, that will reduce the annual flow in the Sacramento River. It's for flood control, that's great, but when you count how much water flows through the delta, that has to be recognized. That is going to reduce annual flow into the Sacramento River. Here's another one. This is the Verona one. It is has progressed since I actually went out there and took pictures, because I have to go back. You can see these are 5 pumps, and there's a fish screen. I guess I have to go driving again. This one is one that was built a number of years ago. It is another, oh no, I'm sorry. This is the Woodland one. This is going to be the location of the Woodland exports. You see there is a pump there. It dumps into a stream. I believe there's going to be there's a plan for bigger pumps. It's kind of under the bridge. You can't really see it unless you get down there under the I-5 bridge. So you have to get down off the freeways and drive along the rivers to see these things. That one's not built really at all. Here is the Stockton Delta Water Supply Project. You can go to this website. It's actually much further along. I'll have to post the pictures of that. I went and took pictures. I could only show pictures of the fence. They won't lay people into that project just yet. Here's another one. This one is complete. This is Contra Costa Water District. It's the alternative intake project for Contra Costa, because where they take their water from now is going to get too salty because so much water is going to be diverted from the delta. They know that, so this one's already been built, and this shows the pit for the tunnel under the river. Well, that one of the plans I showed you. Let's go back to that. This one here, they call it the Armored Aqueduct, calls for going down along this area and to make sure the water keeps flowing down to the export pumps and doesn't get into the San Joaquin River. It calls for, let's see if I can find it under there. It calls for a tunnel underneath either barriers or a tunnel. Okay, this one doesn't show up, but you can go to this website and you can see the conveyance. It calls for a tunnel under the San Joaquin to keep the water flowing, the freshwater corridor flowing to the export pumps. So this tunnel, this is already built. So this isn't something down the road. This one is ready to go. If you go talk to the Contra Costa people, you will find that it is on Victoria Canal, and that will connect with the other stuff that's being built in the delta. So I am going to go back to my original document, and so when they talk about a tunnel and all that, just from the central conveyance above ground, mostly when it's it could the second they turn it on, which could be in the next year or two, second they approve the Bay Delta Conservation Plan and Delta Plan, we could be losing that 15,000 cubic feet per second just from the projects being built now. So if we take X, 17 million, take all those surface diversions, this is what's left to flow, and not counting the Yolo bypass stuff. That is going to reduce by half how much flows the freshwater flows Sacramento River water. If anybody thinks that's not going to affect the bay, they're in la la land. So if you want to look more into this, there's water rights that is supposed to protect North Delta. Actually, everybody has riparian water rights out in the delta, or most of them do, most of the farmers. Plus there are legislated water rights, plus there is contracted water rights. Well, when these things get turned on, the water rights, at least on the West Delta and possibly areas of North Delta, their water rights will be violated, and then hence California is going to get into a really big series of litigation. And if they keep pumping, they're going to destroy that land. It's going to get more saltwater encroachment as the litigation goes on, and that's probably their plan. They will just eminent domains and just trying to value the lands before they take it. So that's my assessment anyway, and I just showed you how the speaker for Department of Water Resources at a presentation, the State Water Resources Control Board, that's what that stands for, in their 2008 strategic plan, recognized that inconsistency is inappropriate and it leads to inequitable treatment and no common understanding, and affects key water quality and water rights, and it makes it difficult to achieve meaningful evaluation. Well, what did the state do? They're very inconsistent in how they calculated water flows, and they created inconsistency over the last couple of years intentionally. So we've looked at X, we've looked at Y. The Y projects that are happening now, not down the road, they're happening now. So then now you've got to look at, okay, how much water flow is going to be left in the delta and to flow out into the bay. Please go to the next slideshow.